Christensen. I teach ethnic studies here at Laney College, primarily Chicano Latino studies, Mexican Latin American studies. And thank you for that great presentation. Just real quick, raise your hands. How many of y'all have turned on the news and you've heard of a border crisis? An immigration crisis? Let's be real. Let's be real. It's not the crisis of the people. It is the actual system in place that is creating a crisis. We have an immigration reform crisis, right? We have a capitalist crisis. We have a militarism crisis, right? So the amazing, the speaker that just went talked about MS-13. Who birthed MS-13? Where did that come from? Right here in California, Los Angeles, California, right? We think about the civil wars, we think about the genocide in places like Guatemala, we think about the coups in Honduras. That was all connected to the United States military government, right? So as this country has a complete responsibility, if it has any sense of integrity, to make sure that it's taking care of the people who are putting into the most extreme, harsh, harmful conditions in the world right now. Especially, let's talk about indigenous communities on top of it. There's a high level of anti-indigenous racism, just like there's anti-black racism, and we really need to be building bridges around black, brown, indigenous communities to be able to draw these connections. And I just want to finish by bringing it here at campus in terms of what the Social Justice Center has been working on this year. We have been focusing on trying to provide more services to undocumented students. If you are a non-DACA undocumented student, which that's actually the majority of undocumented students, a lot of faculty here will be like, DACA, that's a very small percentage of students. You can't have a student job, you can't get financial aid here, right? You can't be able to get a student job, right? I tried to hire student organizers, I wasn't allowed to at the district because they didn't have a social security card, right? And these are folks who have to pay high levels of fees in order to pay for an immigration attorney, in order to pay for any types of visas, renewals. So we're talking about people who are put on the extreme margins being asked to pay the highest amount of money for services. And so I just wanted to tell you, it is so important at this moment more than ever for us to be engaged, to draw the connections, and to be critical of the discourse, of the conversation that the media and this current administration and public officials are putting out, right? We have to challenge it on social media, in the ways we engage in our classes, and how we build in communities. So I want to end by inviting you to actual things. I don't like to just talk, I like to have things to invite you to. This Saturday, we're going to have a group of attorneys from the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant here at the Laney Gymnasium, since the student center is down, it's over here. And they will be doing providing legal services and workshops for folks who are at some point interested in applying to be a United States citizen here in the U.S. On Monday, we're going to have a film screening in E207 at 12:30 talking about the conundrum in which current asylum migrants are in Mexico trying to decide do they apply for asylum in Mexico or do they apply for asylum here in the United States. And then we're also, leading up to May Day, we're going to have an art build, and we're going to have an International Workers' Day March here on Wednesday, May 1st, 12 o'clock. Come join us. Let's build. I'm trying to ask for money for snacks. I see the PFT folks up here. We'll follow up with them. So hopefully y'all can come out. Let's build. Let's march together. Let's break bread together, and let's love together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Next up is healthcare with Hustle.
All right, but before we go to that, I want to make sure to acknowledge another person and ask her to please come up. We the Poor People's Movement that's been relaunched is about a year old, and we have been a part of helping to develop that. Part of the effort when we hosted Reverend Edward Pinkney last February was our kickoff, where we kind of transformed from only a teach-in committee to being a people's movement effort and teach-in. And so we now have more formalized groupings, and one of those formalized groupings is that we have a Bay Area steering committee and regional effort, and Miss Virginia is a co-chair, and I wanted to give her, because Tony was supposed to speak, but he couldn't stay long enough, but I didn't know if you wanted to speak for a few moments to let people know, because you guys did part one, and we're doing part two, so. Thank you. Appreciate that, sis. All right. Somebody who understands that we're running behind and we have a couple of more things we got to get done. Also, we have a couple of things. there is so when you turn your program over, there's something that's called, if you look at item number 10, it says that another fundamental principle of the Poor People's Campaign, we will do our work in a nonpartisan way. No elected officials or candidates get the stage or serve on the state organizing committee of the campaign. This is not about left and right. You heard that kicked off from Mr. Lonscott, or Democrat or Republican, but about right and wrong. And I just want to say that this is an especially important principle when we think about healthcare and how important it is to the people of this nation. How shamefully this human need was treated in 2018. And many of the primaries and midterms really illustrated that this is about workers persistently demanding this uncertainty about their health care. When leaders of the Democratic Party talk about, well, they don't know if they can support Medicare for all because it's going to unstabilize supposedly 150 million workers who have their insurance. The problem with that is that it's a lie. Yes, they have their insurance, but they cannot afford to pay the premiums. So why are you saying that? Who cares if you have insurance that you never use for you and your family because you can't? It's also a lie because the Trump administration is coming after Medicare and Medicaid. They have some states where people who are already proven eligible are now having to essentially have a work requirement. Now they know that these people are not going to be able to fit 20 hours a week in essentially these workfare programs. What is happening is that every segment of the working class is being pushed out, but we aren't fighting that way. And so in my estimate, we need to make sure that the people who have been marginalized, the people who are being lied to, we don't really have a party. We have two corporate parties that's running the Congress, but the little people have no doggone party. And so I'm really glad that the Poor People's Campaign says, don't have candidates, but take our issues to all 18 of the damn Democrats and any other body who says they're gonna run for office. Our issues have to be up front, centermost, and if we're not at that table, then there should be no damn table. 50,000 human beings have lost their health care due to the federal government working with the states, pretending that somehow Medicaid with these new requirements is going to become more humane. It's a lie. We got to learn how to say that. Forget all this stuff that we got to make ourselves more presentable. We're not looked at as human, so it doesn't matter. The reports you heard, the report that Peggy gave, that happens when you're subhuman. We're better than that in this country, but right now, that's not who's speaking. That's why we need an organized Poor People's Campaign. Because when one of us speak, it needs to be for all of us. With that, I'm going to kick this off. I just want to say, as much as we really, and we've done work for decades here at Laney, but one of my young sisters and another person pinned a coin, broke on purpose. Our community colleges, just like our K through 12, the rug is being pulled from underneath us. So right now, we got people who are not able-bodied who can get down these damn stairs. This is a public institution. Our taxes pay for this thing. It is unacceptable that our students, the community, cannot utilize this. Sorry, Emma, I know that was part of your speech. But I want to make sure that it's not only people who are being harmed, because we're all being harmed by those kind of policies.
I'm not going to really say that much. I think the speakers will be able to tell you about their experience, and anyone from the audience who would like to testify about 2-minute testimonies from the audience as well. So, I'm sorry, so public education is under attack, as other people have said, both K through 12 and higher education. And community college, which is part of higher education, but it's really that bridge between K through 12 and higher ed. And as you can see, some of us say both K through 12 and Laney is broke on purpose. You know, we almost lost this and shops and all the gentrifying fun stuff that none of our students and most of our faculty couldn't afford. It wasn't for us. We were able to come together with different groups and stop it. We won that battle. But the war is still being waged in Oakland against public education. And real estate is one of the big ways that they are waging that war. The schools that are being closed in Oakland, they're scheduled to, Oakland Unified School District says they're going to close 24 schools in the flatlands, almost all. One of them is not in the flatlands. All the other ones are. But they're erecting 16,000 new units. Why are they closing schools then? Because they want new schools for new people. They want to get some of our people out. And by our people, I mean poor people. People that can't afford those rents. People like my students who have had to move to Vallejo, Stockton, Sacramento, and still come to Laney because they feel Laney's their home. So public education is part of the struggle that poor people face. And by poor, I mean everybody that has to work for a living. If I lost my job, would I be able to pay my mortgage? No, I would not. Would I be housing insecure? Yes, I would. So all of us, as other people have said, the Poor People's Campaign is not just for people that are living in the streets already. We're all on that conveyor belt. We need to unite and change the direction. Change the whole direction. Change the whole structure of this system. So we have people that are going to be testifying about their experiences here in the Peralta colleges and in Oakland and the city schools. I'm a member of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, and my union represents faculty who are full-time and faculty who are contingent. Some of our faculty don't know from a semester to semester if they're going to have a job. They might have families. They do have rents or mortgages to pay, and there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to do that. As Francis Howard spoke earlier and said, that affects students. They don't have the same amount of time for office hours. They're not able to be involved in the same way on the campus. That affects students and it affects the faculty. It affects academic freedom. And I'm not going to say too much because we have part-time leaders here who are going to speak for themselves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ina Adele Ray. Everybody calls me Adele. I'm an adjunct or part-time contingent faculty, whatever you want to call it, at Berkeley City College in the Multimedia Department. And I just want to say thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be a part of this very important and profound movement. I first want to acknowledge that I'm here to represent my fellow adjunct faculty or part-time faculty, contingent faculty, members who are not able to be here to testify about their struggle for equity in this academic system. This is an issue that's a national issue as well. I also want to acknowledge that I had the support of my department, the Multimedia Arts Department at BCC, Berkeley City College, and that I do not fear retaliation that some of my colleagues face for speaking truth of their circumstance. Adjunct faculty are resilient and are great at their jobs. They have master's degrees, PhDs, they have published works of research, literature, art, and media. Their students love them. They do this because they love their jobs and their students. The academic institutions across the country for decades have failed these faculty, and in turn have failed their students and communities. I want to bring forth the names of 3 of these teachers who teach at other colleges in this country, who are no longer with us. And then I want to tell their stories at the end of this talk. I want to mention the names of Sarah Jacobson, who is an independent filmmaker and instructor at the New School in New York, Thea Hunter, who recently passed, an expert in legal history, slavery, and the Atlantic world, who taught at Princeton, NYU, and many community college, city colleges in New York. And also lastly, Margaret Mary Bachko from Duquesne University, who taught French at a school in Pennsylvania, all whose lives were taken from us too soon. I want to bring their spirits into the room here because I don't want them to be forgotten. I want to address 3 challenges that we face and share the stories of part-time faculty here in the Peralta system. Lack of pay equity, lack of health insurance,
Come on now.
and lack of job security.
Yes.
Adjunct faculty members get paid less per hour than their full-time counterparts. They get paid between 85 and 95 cents on the dollar. It's a respect issue too, by the way. It's not just about cents. Many have to teach at several schools across the Bay Area, doing commutes that take 2-3 hours a day to pay their rent. So they are working full-time, but just across the systems because the system exploits us. Based on a survey among adjunct faculty conducted in 2017 by Laney part-time faculty member Brad Badaluchkin, sorry if I didn't say his name right. These are some stats up here. And so some of the stats that I'm mentioning come from him, so I just want to give him a shout out and thank you for all your hard work, Brad. 51% describe themselves as housing insecure, more than 1/3 of their income going to rent, an additional 1.2% unhoused or are homeless. This is our faculty we're talking about. 70% of Peralta system has faculty that are part-time. I think the statistics might be off a little bit, so let me know if I'm off, if anybody knows better. PT faculty are in such rough shape that this 16% are on welfare or on other than unemployment. 61% describe themselves as income insecure. That's more than half, either living paycheck to paycheck with no savings or with debt. This should concern everybody here, the students, the parents, the community. Job security, another issue. 67% of Peralta faculty part-time are hired only at one semester at a time. Classes can be canceled due to low enrollment or they can be bumped without any pay for their loss. They spend 15-20 hours before the semester begins prepping for their curriculum, the courses throughout the semester. That's time. That's money. We put our energy into the system to our kids, our students, our community. And if our classes get canceled, we might get a week's notice. What happens? Nothing, okay? We don't get nada. We need to change that. We need to have a kill fee so we can figure out what we're supposed to do if we lose our class, okay?
Yeah.
Lack of health care. Out of the 730 part-time faculty, 60 part-timers use the health care. There's some technical issues, like it might have to do with their course load or whatnot, but when I informally contacted part-time faculty about insurance, because I was looking to get insurance to provide for my whole family, I'm like, how do you guys do it? A lot of people don't have insurance. Or they're lucky and they have a spouse who's they're on an insurance spouse, or they are paying into cover California, and it's really expensive. Like the insurance here, the state is supposed to force Peralta to pay 50%. They still can't afford it.
Right.
Like if I teach a class and it costs me $600 and something a month to pay for my insurance, how am I supposed to pay my rent or any of my other expenses? It doesn't even make any sense. So we go without it. An example of how these issues face one of our fellow part-time faculty members, I'm going to not name this person for their own safety because they're fearing of retaliation of losing their job. This person has health issues, okay? And the course they taught was supposed to help them get their insurance as well. And their course filled up. They're supposed to have 20 students in the class. They had 16. It's an arbitrary number, okay? Let them have the class. It's 16. It's more than half. It's, and this person relies on this insurance. This person's job got canceled. Class got canceled. They had serious health issues. They lost their health care, and they have spiraled into debt because of it. This is not cool. This is not good. These systemic problems need to change. Why should parents and teachers care? Because this is unsustainable, and the losses, and these losses is the loss of higher education as a whole. And I'm going to quote from an article that was just published today in the Higher Education Chronicle. The university is a ticking time bomb. Treating nearly 75% of the professoriate as disposable is not sustainable. Without committing to a professoriate with a future, tenured faculty members and administrators are guaranteed their obsolescence of their own institutions and the eventual erasure of their own careers and legacies. A professor who's forced to leave after one semester or 1 year can't be there to write recommendation letters, advise students on the job market, or listen to what the students have on their minds. Every student and parent needs to know this. Now, back to the 3 part-timers who died because of this system of oppression. I knew Sarah Jacobson. She died of endometrial cancer in 2004. She found out 3 weeks before she died that she had it. She taught at the new school and she couldn't afford health care, and she was an independent filmmaker. She died at the age of 32. I was 28. She had no idea she was ill. Had she had health care, had she been able to acknowledge this beforehand, she could have been here today. Recently, Thea Hunter died at age 53, almost done. She died of cardiac arrest. She was only 53. She taught at Princeton. She taught at all the city colleges. There's articles about her passing. She died of cardiac arrest. She had asthma issues. She didn't have insurance, same issue. And lastly, I just want to acknowledge Margaret Mary Vachko, who didn't have retirement. She was the one who died at an older age, at 83. She died of cardiac arrest, and I'm just going to do a quick quote, and I know you have to go. Before Mary learned her semester-to-semester contract would not be renewed, she was earning less than $25,000 a year for teaching 8 courses without health insurance or retirement benefits, and living on the edge of homelessness. Just as Duquesne told her to clear out of her office, she learned from her doctor that she had 6 months to live as the cancer she'd been battling got worse. Shortly after losing her job, she suffered cardiac arrest and died in the hospital 2 weeks later. For those proud professionals like Mary Margaret, Vachko's lawyer says this was the last straw. All I have to say is, oh yeah, and just really quickly, Thea Hunter had to deal with not only the issue of class, but the issue of racism. She's an African-American woman, and the issue of sexism. And let's just hope that these losses aren't in vain and that we can change the system. Thank you.
Next, we have a quick presentation about the wonderful facilities in the Peralta District by Peralta Federation of Teachers President Jennifer Shanasi. 2 minutes. Sorry. 2 minutes. My name is Jennifer. I'm president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, and I'm also a chemistry faculty member at Laney College. So this is a presentation that I put together actually to present to our Board of Trustees in order to show them the state of our facilities. We get a lot of negative information about what we as faculty and staff are not doing for students and why students are not here. And so we wanted the board to really see what we experience every day when we come to these classrooms that are not accessible and dirty and broken. So that's what this is. So a little tour around our campuses. So this is COA, this is the gymnasium at COA. You can see on the left, here I'll make it a presentation. You can see on the left that there's no markings on the stairs. And so multiple people have fallen down on those stairs because you can't really see the delineation between the steps. On the right, we have a video. So this is in the gymnasium at College of Alameda. Can you see the rain? You can hear it. It's raining inside the gym at COA. This is where the women's volleyball team practices every day, and this is what they see next to them. This is the geography and geology rooms. You can see on the right, it's a crowded mess, right? It's overpacked with materials. And then you can see on the left, that's a map that includes, the USSR, right? So I think it's from 1956, if memory serves me.
So yeah, old materials. These are some of the bathrooms. I have so many pictures of bathrooms. They're all women's bathrooms that I have, including this one with the urinals. Women's restrooms that have, or men's restrooms that have been converted to women's restrooms, but have still have the urinals. Here's another restroom at COA. I mean, you can just see it's filthy, right? And it's not because our custodial staff isn't working hard. You know, all of those folks, I see them every day. They're working really hard. There's not enough of them, so they can't actually make it to the bathroom. Here are leaks at COA. You can see that the way that folks have managed those leaks is put buckets in the middle of the floor. And you can see in the light fixtures, many of the covers are missing, and the covers are missing because otherwise the light fixtures get filled with water. And so you can see the water stains on that middle picture. If you want some water, you should be careful because the drinking fountains, and this isn't just at COA, I have a water bottle and I drink a lot of water, and so I experience a lot of our water fountains around. You'll see a lot of those pictures too, and many of them look like this. I mean, they're disgusting. You wouldn't put your face in that. The middle one, this is just an example of these smart classroom upgrades that have sort of halfway happened, if happened at all. That's like a cable TV cable on the floor. Chalkboards in these smart classrooms. On the right, you see bookshelves. None of these have any earthquake retrofitting. So if there's an earthquake and you're between the stacks, you are going to have a problem. People do all sorts of, you guys know, you're here at Laney, you see all sorts of ways that people try to fix the problems. Right in that back row, you'll see caution tape. I have some pictures of this room coming up. People stuffing tissue into the heater vents. Here's mold. This is COA and Laney College. It took over 6 months to get the mold on the left that was in faculty offices and classrooms cleaned up. Okay. On the right, they said it wasn't mold, but they never did any testing, so we're still working on that one. And just so you know, these are all things, right, as the union, we're responsible for wages, benefits, and working conditions. So all of these things, we have 2 staff members, and we have a couple of faculty that do all this work. And so these are all grievances. So somebody has to file the grievance, follow through on the grievance, push the grievance forward just to get basic facilities issues repaired. Here's Laney. You guys know all this stuff. I'll go fast through Laney. Your maps are awful. Your locker rooms are not very inviting. These are the women's locker rooms. If you do any sports here, this is what the women at Laney College experience when they go in to take a shower. These are operational. There were students in there at the time I took these pictures. Here are your treadmills. So I'm a runner, so this is near and dear to me. Each one of them says broken, use another machine right down the line. You can see the signs on all of them. Boarded up windows, planter boxes that are full of weeds and garbage. Here are the crash mats in the gym here on the main campus, falling off. So those are for safety. If you overrun your basketball, court, then you are supposed to crash into a pad, not a concrete wall. More drinking fountains. Here's the forum. It's still not fixed. This presentation was given a couple months ago. Still not fixed. Here's the forum. This was last year. This is how the leaks get repaired. This is the women's restroom right here, and the doors. They're supposed to provide access to this room on the ground level. Oh, and that's it. I saw the 2 minutes, and so I went really fast.
Thank you.
So right now, I wanted to first just acknowledge, we had acknowledged a couple of elected officials, and Aisha Jordan is also on the Board of Trustees. She's a student trustee. She's not speaking as a trustee here, but she is a Board of Trustee member, so I want to acknowledge her too. Thank her for being here. And then I'd like to bring up Ms. Rachel, who is going to speak about the K through 12 situation. Please come on down.
family, longtime family friend and ally in the struggle. Yes, the room is thin, but as she said, the people who are supposed to be are here.
Yes.
I'm a wordy person. I had a lot I wanted to say, and I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. Being poor with the K-12 students, thanks to Senate Bill 1381, my daughter had to go to TK when she should have just gone right into kindergarten. And so I over-prepared her for school. I took her out of a family child care center, and I spent an extra almost $300 per month for her to be with someone who's a retired school teacher who I thought would better prepare her for school. Well, that didn't quite happen. My neighborhood school was closed right as I was supposed to send her there, Santa Fe Elementary. At that time, I believe there were 8 OUSD schools closed in 2012. And as someone mentioned, we have 25 more on the chopping block this year, primarily flatland schools, right? You know, I had the thought when I was sitting there that it's a wonderful thing to be able to send your child to a hill school, quote unquote, you know, when you're a flatland family. But when you get there, how is your child treated? How are you received as a parent on that campus? Are you embraced? Are the needs, social emotionally, of your child going to be met? Is your child going to feel like they are a part of that community? No, they are not. But then on the flip side, when we send our brown children there, then they come home to the flats. And when we say, you think you're too good, you act like ABC, right? You speak like them. You don't, how come you talk so white, quote unquote? And so, you know, it's an unfair predicament. As a parent of color, as a single parent who is housing unstable, I have had to move back home with a parent recently because of the cost of living. And so what do we do exactly? Somebody told me once, when you present a problem, you have to present a solution. And so I'm a firm believer that solution comes in unity. It is an honor to work with my community, with my people, for my people here at Parent Voices Oakland, where we fight for affordable child care and do a lot of work in ECE, early childhood education. And that's going to be what it takes. It is going to take the unity. We have to lock elbows, lock hands, lock wrists, lock knees, whatever it is. We have got to work together. We've got to come across classism, racism, all of the different isms, because at the end of the day, we're all parents, we are villagers, we are aunts and uncles, and we want the same thing that anybody that lives in the hills or works for Google wants. Those of us who are here in the flats, we all want the same thing. We want a quality life for our children, we want safety, we want security, and if we do not work together to do those things, we will not get those things. How much time do I have? Oh, see, the timekeeper is not even here. So, what else do I want to say about K-12 education? Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, it is failing our children. Those of us with children who have social emotional challenges, particularly, the money is not being invested in the districts and in our schools to help our children with those specific problems. When my child is sitting in class, you know, concerned about what's happening in her personal life, she's not focusing, right? When we have children in a classroom that are hungry, they are not focusing. When we have children in our classrooms that have experienced violence or witnessed violence on the way to school, at home the night before, a parent taken from their home, they are not paying attention. They are not focusing. They are not concerned with what the teacher is talking about. So, you know, we need to be making more investments in education. I know somebody's going to talk about college experience, but I have to say thank you to Laney College, to EOPS, to the CARES program, Miss Benita, Miss Lynn. I need to say thank you to Laura Gomez, I think is her last name, one of the advisors and counselors here. Because were it not for her taking a chance and saying to me, a then struggling student, you know, I think maybe there's something else going on. I don't think the classes are just too difficult. She encouraged me to be assessed for a possible learning difference. And I will forever be grateful for her having the courage to make that recommendation, because I finally understood why math has always been so difficult, because I do have a little bit of a learning difference. And so I just offer that to say that if we don't have teachers who care enough, if we don't have educators who care enough, whether it's K-12 or college and beyond, to really look at the needs of students, poor students specifically, because we are often thought to be unworthy of being in these spaces. We are not deemed of being worthy to get higher education, whatever that's supposed to mean. Then we're going to continue to see these things happen, right? And so it's because of that I push and advocate for not only children in schools, obviously, my own little village, first and foremost, but for anyone who has any unmet need, where there is a struggle, where there is a fight, where there is oppression, that is where you will find us. That is where you will find parent voices. I'm sorry, all my parents had to go home, because we all got kids, but there were blue t-shirts in the room, and I appreciate them coming. I appreciate the invitation to be here, and I'm forever grateful to Laney, Berkeley College as well. And for institutions like this that offer students, those of us who don't have the means to go to a four-year school immediately, those of us that need a little more preparation for academia, these institutions, this is the battleground, this is the starting ground, this is the foundation for a lot of our success. So, thank you.
I just want to say that we are actually ending there's things that are changing in public education right now, that Laney is now no longer, the community colleges are no longer offering remedial courses in education in math and English. So they are now, they're saying it's a good thing, they're just going to let you go straight into the college level, and then everybody's going to be just fine. I'm worried about that.
Right.
Yes.